Right, good morning ladies and gentlemen. My name is Solomon Tor-Kilsen. I am the director of Zealandia Rising. Reasonably new organisation, we're still getting there, so we're still figuring out the basics of how everything works and what direction we're going to take, but essentially what it is, and you can get a detailed explanation of this if you go to facebook.com/Zealandia Rising, or just look up Zealandia Rising on Facebook and you'll find us pretty soon, and just click on the our story or the Welcome to Zealandia Rising note, and you'll pretty much get there. But in a nutshell, so you know how there's like the old boys club, and there's the like you've got the Masons and you've got the Rotary and you've got the whatever. Basically, all the old people know all the old people because like they all connect and work with each other, and they've been working with each other for years. And like I said, they've got their societies and their organisations, and the old guard. Well, Zealandia Rising is essentially our version of that. What we wanted to create was our generation, the millennials generation, and afterwards a version of the old men's club and the old boys club and the old guard. So it's kind of like the new guard. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? So essentially, if you're under 35, or if you work with somebody under 35 and you're wanting to support them, rah-de-rah, that is what we've set up Zealandia Rising to really focus on, is our generation, getting our generation connected, getting our generation involved, active, growing themselves, developing themselves and their communities, and really heading in a positive direction in life. But essentially, when we're talking about Zealandia Rising, so I talk about the Rotary, I talk about the Lions, and I talk about like the Masons and all that, and they're all charitable organisations. They're all like, well, we've done business and we're at this point and we want to succeed, right, and we want to kind of give back. Well, here's the issue. If you're a millennial and you're living in this generation and you're working your butt off to try and go forward, you're trying to buy a house, you'd like to have a family but you can't afford it. Reality is, the world we live in today is a lot harder than it has been for previous generations. You look at just the cost of getting into a house. Back in the day in Auckland, New Zealand, the cost of getting a house was approximately 2 to 3 years annual income. Well, now it's between 8 to 14 years of annual income for a full-time worker. Yeah, it's not the fact that millennials are lazy or whatever else. The economy is genuinely stacked against us. It is a lot harder now than it has been in the past. So doing all those things, getting those milestones that previous generations they've worked hard and they've achieved right around, that's really not as possible for our generation. So whereas organisations like Rotary or Masons are all about giving back to the community, and that's great, and we fully endorse that, what Zealandia Rising is about is a little bit more enabling our generation to actually get to a point where we could even consider giving back. It's actually making it happen for us. And it is one of those things where, and like I said, giving back is great, but actually getting ourselves established is more important, and it's taking us longer just for the fact that the economics of the world we live in today are a lot harder for a lot more people. So what I want to kind of cover in this segment, and I'll talk about a couple of other things as well, this being our new regular podcast and YouTube video and stuff like that, and we'll be doing more of these as we go. I just really want to cover the basics of what Zealandia Rising is about. So I want to go over what our core values and key focuses are for Zealandia Rising, and just give a wee explanation about each of those. And again, you can find more detail on the Zealandia Rising Facebook page. So, number one, income. Now, like I've said, the economy is a lot harder for us. So, in regards to income, one of the things that our generation really struggles with is the fact of financial literacy, where we live in a tougher financial climate, and we know even less than previous generations have really known about managing and controlling, and we just have to actually be a lot smarter about our financial literacy and our understanding of how the economy and economics and our own personal economics work. So one of the big key focuses for Zealandia Rising is helping teach people the important aspects of financial literacy, important aspects of how to work harder and smarter, and learning how to invest well. It's one of those things where it's like, I mean, you can go out and you can booze up and you can have a good time and you can all these other things, but reality is, if you want to leave any sort of legacy in the future, then you're going to have to figure out pretty smartly now how you're going to do that and where you're going to go. And if you want to have family or a house one day, that's even more important. So income, number one. Second, family. Going on from legacy and having family and all that other carry on. Family is incredibly important. Family is the foundation for civilization, society as a whole, the nation, everything. Everything comes down to family. And this generation has the most deconstructed family ideas that have ever existed in history. And I'll just put the question out to you guys. How do you think that's working? How do you think that's going for people? How do you think people's mental health are? How do you think people's social interactions are? And how much that stems from family or lack thereof or dysfunction of? So one of the big things that we really want to focus on is encouraging people how to have stable relationships, how to get into, like, make logical decisions about the relationships they're in, how they manage them, and just educating people, because the best people to learn from, it's a lot better to learn from other people than it is from your own mistakes, and you can make a lot of mistakes in this area, and making mistakes when it comes to family, relationships, and children, even grandchildren, is really important, and you don't really want to make too many mistakes in those areas. So really encouraging people and teaching and guiding people how to approach this area. Number three, aptitude. Now, it's all very well being able to do something, and anyone can do anything, but can you do it well? Are you skilled in that area? Have you disciplined yourself up to tackle that area? So we really encourage people improving themselves, being able to upskilling, and it's just when ability meets skill and skill meets discipline, then you have aptitude. And that's something that we really encourage, is taking personal responsibility, learning some discipline, and really approaching these things from a real focused, I'm actually going to do this well, instead of just doing it, So aptitude. Number four, comradeship. Now, this is something that we have really lost touch with in the Western world, is this whole idea of having real friends and having real relationships with people. Like, you've got your work buddies and you've got your drinking buddies, but that only goes so far, especially if you're in New Zealand and you've got that Kiwi attitude of, I've got all these deeply seated psychological issues, but I'm going to keep that all to myself, and I'm just going to booze up, have a good time, get high, work my butt off, drink it all away, that kind of thing. And we don't really have many real friends. This is one of the reasons why I believe that suicide in this country is so high, why the health issues in New Zealand are so high, why the mental health issues in New Zealand are so tragically high. We're one of the worst in the world, and we have I'm going to keep this all to myself, and I'm not actually going to communicate with that with anybody. And one of the things that we have seen in the small groups that we've already established is when people get together and they find their tribe, they find their core group of people, their mental health issues drop, their motivation in life peaks and goes higher, their ability and willingness to do stuff that is challenging for them goes through the roof. When you find your core group of people and you find your tribe, everything just gets better. So we really encourage the development of tribe and comradeship. Number five, community. I talked about giving back to community. Well, here we go. Here's it out. For us, giving back to the community is part of living in the community, and it is one of those things where if you want to impact the world around you, you sort yourself out, you sort your family out, you sort your tribe out, and then you reach out to the rest of the universe. So for us, really getting involved in the community and getting the crew together, going out and cleaning up your local neighborhood, or taking a whole bunch of kids to go learn how to do like graffiti, or how to fix up a car, or go do bushcraft or stuff like that. You're really impacting the environment and the community around you. You're building that trust, you're building that rapport, and you are giving back, but there is also a sense of you're putting in. If you put it into the community is going to support you back. You know what I mean? So it all flows around. So yes, giving back to the community, but doing events in the community, doing community outreach, going out into the community and really encouraging the community to like come into what you're doing. That's another really important part for us, is the fact that we do need to look after our communities. And go from there, aspiration. Now this isn't really something that's talked about too often in like these kind of circles, where you're actually encouraging people to aspire to get higher, to better themselves, to become more powerful in what they're doing. And it doesn't matter whether you want to be the top janitor in your area, whether you want to be the top road sweeper. It doesn't matter whether you want to be the top CEO, or if you want to own your own company. We really encourage people to aspire to everything they can be, but at the same time tempering that with like, where do you actually belong? Where do you fit in? Like, there's a lot of people out there in the business world who own their own company, who would be much better off being part of the core team for somebody else's company. Sometimes aspiring to the top doesn't mean taking on massive leadership roles. It can simply be as like there was a incident where one of the American presidents went to the NASA space whatever thingamabob during the Apollo missions or whatever, and he stopped and he talked to a cleaner, and he's like, what's your job here? And I love this, is the cleaner's response was, Mr. President, I'm helping to put a man on the moon. That kind of an attitude. Wherever you belong, aspire to be the best at what you're doing, where you are with what you have, and whether it's leadership or otherwise, it doesn't matter. So that's something we do heavily encourages people aspiring to be everything they can. Now, number 7. Now this was we had fun putting this one on. Ownership. And that's taking ownership for yourself, taking ownership of your situation, your life choices, your responsibility, but we're also talking about private property ownership. Owning the dirt beneath your feet, we believe, is one of the most powerful things in the human mind, is owning your environment. Being able to go, this is mine. And whether that's the dirt beneath your feet, or the paper in your wallet, or the shirt on your back, personal property ownership is a massive deal, and something we really encourage our people to really go for. So, just for the fact of like just how much it provides, and it may also annoy a few people who believe that personal property shouldn't ever be a thing, but that's another story entirely. So yeah, and again that also extends into things like ownership of a company. So owning shares in the company you work for, stuff like that. That's also stuff we encourage. And for those of us who are involved in business, actually encouraging our business owners to sell shares to their employees, just for the fact of, if you own part of the company you work for, there's a lot more pride that goes into that product. There's a lot more hard work that goes into that product. And there's a lot more effort you're willing to go to for that profit, for the fact of it's going to come back to you at some point. Like, you own shares in that company, and if that company is profitable, you're going to put in more hard work. Just makes sense. So that is really a just general coverall of the 7 core values and focuses that we have for Zealandia Rising. From here, we really intend on taking this around the country. We already have about nearly 400 people involved in the various things that we've been doing up until this point, and we're going to be bringing a lot of those into Zealandia Rising, as this is really the direction that we really feel that we should be going in. So I suppose the question is really for a lot of people is, where to from here? Like, where are we going with this? Well, first off, we're obviously encouraging the likes of membership and setting up clubs all around New Zealand. The real model of what we're working on is weekly to fortnightly meetings, getting together at somebody's house, or getting together at a pub, or getting together at a park if you're involved in, if you're a family and you've got kids, then organising those play dates kind of thing. At the park or with somebody with a really big backyard, those things kind of work. Really encourage that community building and getting people involved. So barbecues, events, movie nights, you know, the list goes on, book clubs, whatever you want. But we're really encouraging people to get involved, sign up to our Zealandia Rising paid membership, become a Zealandian. And as far as like funds and stuff like that go, we're encouraging people to become part of the supporters club. So, and I just putting a little something, whether it's something once a month or any amount, whatever, that's fine. We really appreciate that. Becoming a full paid member, so we're asking $5 a week for people that just want to start getting involved, start chipping in. Depending if you set up a club in your hometown, we can start putting some of that money back to you to help pay for resources and stuff like that in that area. But also encouraging people to invest. We run a company, we run Zealandia Rising through a company called the Timaru Youth Initiative Limited, based in the South Island. Has a couple of, has myself as a director, and on the board we have myself and Adam Brown. And we're really running this and initiatives and stuff like that through there. So if you want to become an investor, obviously you have to sign up as a member, because we can't sell shares to the public and all that other stuff, but you can buy privately. You want to become an investor with Zealandia, you want to help create this mission, you want to take it forward, we really encourage that as well. We do have a number of missions that we really want to get off the ground, being our first HQ. Now I have the lease for a building in Timaru through the TYI Limited, and we really want to set that up into kind of a retail place where we can like have business going on and start bringing profits into this properly, but also setting up it as kind of a meeting area, where like a dry bar where people can come, they can chill out, they can hang out, they can really get involved in the Zealandian philosophy, lifestyle, all that stuff. Having a base there. So that's going to cost, like it's there, but to get it running we really need about another $10,000 to $15,000. So if you're interested in becoming a investor, that is something that we can do for you. Or we fundraiser, I do have this chunky hair on the back of my head. Usually have it platted up. I will be doing a auction for somebody to be able to cut that off. There's a lot of people out there who have hated the old rat's tail for a long time, and I think this is a pretty good cause to, you know, just kind of kickstart the whole thing. So yeah, if you want to cut that thing off, we'll get all platted up all nice and stuff, and you can like pair of scissors and you can cut that thing off. So if you want to help go towards that, let us know. Other thing we do is something called Southfest. We will be setting up a Northfest equivalent, and that is really just celebrating the local regions, and it's kind of market day, barbecue competition, info stalls, food, music, all that kind of stuff. So that's something we really want to build up. We're currently doing it every 3 months, so spring, summer, autumn, winter, during the holidays. It's just something the whole family can get involved in. It's not a bad time. So that's something we want to get going properly in the South Island, but again in the North Island, and we think it would be really cool if we could start doing a Southfest and Northfest in every major city around New Zealand. I think that would be cool. And again, as part of that community, giving back, providing something for the community that also gives back, you know. Other thing that we are working on is, now this is kind of big dream, big vision, is along the idea of how a lot of people really can't get into their own property and get onto their own land, can't get involved in community, tribe, all these other things. we want to build a hub for that. A place where people can buy themselves a piece of dirt for them and their family, just a small patch of dirt, and get a little house set up there, get a little community set up there, and we want to foster that within a larger community. So what we're doing is we're setting up a South Zealandian, for the South Island, South Zealandian eco-village and retreat. Now that's a little bit like whatever marketing, it's great, but essentially what it is we want to set up a eco-farmlet where we can produce high quality goods. We can start producing bits and pieces that can be sold to the wider community and potentially export market, and have it as a place where people can buy an allotment in that area. They can have their own little house, their own little whatever, and there's a place that we're looking at that has a building already set up that would make really neat little micro apartments. So giving people the chance to buy into a place that has an existing community built up around them, that also provides employment and allows people to be surrounded by like-minded persons. So that's the South Zealandian Eco Village and Retreat, and that is something that we will be working on. So there's a couple of things that you can, if you're looking to invest in something, you can invest, you can buy, you can help us build up this company and really get this going. We'd like to set up a North Island, a North Zealandia equivalent. So whether it's the Dry Bar and ZR Club in Timaru, whether it's South and North West, and all the activities we run through that, or whether it's the South or North Zealandian Eco Village and Retreat, there's options. So we're really trying to approach this from multiple angles and give people biggest bang for their buck, but we're also really wanting to put across the fact that there is a big vision for Zealandia Rising, and it's not just another social club, it's not just another like family meetup club. There's a purpose, there's a vision behind it. We really want to impact New Zealand, we really want to have an impact on where the country is going, and we really want to be part of that process of deciding where we are going as a nation, as well as giving people on the other end of the scale a place where they can communicate with people, where they can create genuine friendships, where they can network, where they can go, hey look, I'm doing a business, I need people to know about my business so I can make a living off it. And having a place where they can network and put that out to a community that supports them. So this is all kind of where we're going. This is the direction that we're taking. So yeah, if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, give us a shout. Get involved in what we're doing on Facebook and stuff like that. Sign up as a member. Just engage, like, comment, like, share the content we put out. And yeah, if you're just wanting some New Zealand content to listen to, then we will be doing more podcasts like this and more videos like this. And yeah, that's kind of my piece. So, cheers, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found that insightful, and I hope that gave a reasonable overview of what we're doing. If you have any questions or if I missed anything, feel free to hit me up. Or I put in messages for the next podcast and all that. So yeah, I'm starting to go horse. This has been a lot of talking for me in 5 minutes. So cheers, guys. My name's Solomon Tor-Kilsen, and this is Zealandia Rising. Cheers, guys. See you next time.